in any organizations, whenever, they want to move into a more product organization, and they realized, oh, do we need a business analyst? I said, yeah, we do need business analysts, because the kind of analytical skills they bring in, no one does. As a product manager, what I realized, so much bandwidth goes into managing stakeholders. So working with a BA can really help, because at least I will have someone, a colleague, who understands the same level, to say, look, we are here in this business to build a product that's fit for purpose, making sure that our end users get the best out of it, and we are understanding and resolving the business problems.
Somebody said that all product managers should become or should be from business analysts.
I 100% think so. When I was presented the opportunity of becoming a product manager, first thing I said is, I've been a BA and I'll be a damn good product manager, because...
Welcome to the Inside Business Analysis podcast. I'm your host, Tanda Jacobs, and today I am joined with Heer Shah. Heer, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are yourself?
I'm well, thank you. Yes, and I'm excited to have you on this podcast here. So Heer, you are a business analyst consultant, or somebody who's worked in business analysis, should I say, for almost a decade, if not longer. But you made the switch to product management, which is something I find really interesting. So I thought actually it'd be really good to chat to you about the world of product management, but also the link to business analysis. And I think my very first question really is going to be, what is it that led you to switch to kind of the product management route from business analysis?
I think when I made the switch, I was really eager for a new challenge, and I felt like, as a seasoned BA, I could really bring in, I could really leverage those skills into more broader strategic context. And I also realized that I could actively, move into a role that, not only shapes the product strategy, but also influences the direction of the product development. So effectively, almost like being a forefront of a product development, innovation, strategy. It seemed like a perfect opportunity for my next career move.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds cool, and it sounded like you were ready for that next challenge from the sounds of it. So, when you're thinking about that switch, actually, I'm curious to know in terms of a product management. A lot of people may have heard of a product manager, or maybe they work with a product manager, but they may not fully understand what the role is. So, could you maybe give us a brief breakdown into what a product manager is? And I'm also curious to know if there's any differences and similarities to business analysis.
Absolutely. So to put simply, a product manager is a role, that defines strategy, roadmap, and features for a product or a product line, based on the customer needs. And those products, it could be technology products, or it could be, simply things like, hey, I want to introduce a, new makeup foundation. I want to introduce a new, a gadget into the market. It could be any product, but essentially what product manager does is, defines, what the strategy of that product looks like, short term to medium term to long term, what does the features or the roadmap look like for that product delivery, and what are the customer needs, where does it fit into the market segment for against different other products. So it looks into that 360-degree review of the product in general. So in essence, you could argue that we, or product managers, guide the success of the product, and we deliver the value to the business ultimately. In terms of, similarities with the BA and the PM, I can't name one. There's so many similarities, essentially. So, for example, both BAs and product managers understands, business, users, market. They bring in that key data analysis into it when making a informed decision about how do we want to shape the application or technology products. For example, we both roles work with, cross-functional teams, developers, engineering roles, right, design, UX, UI, and, both roles, and I can't strictly say enough, but both roles require a skill set where we should be able to, communicate to our stakeholders, technical and non-technical, seamlessly.
Mm.
So that's by most is these are the similarities which I was able to bring in from my role as a BA.
Mm.
Differences where we slightly are different, to one another is more like the way I see is this. PM is more like an outward focus role. We're looking into the market, products overall direction, competitive positioning, for example. Whereas BA are inwardly focused. So they're looking into optimizing and, improving the business processes. In addition to making the application for the end users, product fit, for example. So that's where I see some of the differences, between the product managers and the BA. So I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yeah, no, I think that's really clear actually, and I think it's clear to see the differences, but also how there's transferable skills as a business analyst into that role, isn't there? And so when you're thinking about kind of this product fit, doing market
Yeah,
research, and maybe looking at competitors and figuring out, okay, what do we need to do to differentiate ourselves from the market? I think that the title product manager then makes sense,
yeah,
because effectively you are the person who's looking after that product. Um, but equally speaking, you are working with a BA, right? It's not like a completely separate thing. So product managers and BAs are still in the same circles and in the same rooms. So I'm interested to know from your perspective as a product manager, then what do you expect, or what is it that you'd kind of look uh, at your BAs and saying, right, this is what I expect you to do or to deliver, in particular, for someone who appreciates what a BA has done, because you've been a BA before. I'm really interested to see, like, when you're looking at your BAs, because you know exactly what we do,
yeah,
right? You can say, right, this is exactly what I expect from you.
yeah. So I'll slightly rephrase the question another way. Instead of me expecting from a BA, I would be more around how do BAs and product managers work together?
Mm,
And I think the way it is is that so BAs are very good because I've been a BA. Attention to details is the number one skills which and when in any organizations whenever they want to move into a more product organization and they realized, oh, do we need a business analyst? I said, yeah, we do need business analysts because the kind of analytical skills they bring in no one does, for example, right? So I think that those are the kind of skills in broadly speaking, as a BA, I'm very passionate about, even when I'm doing a role of product manager. So this is what BA
mm,
I really need from, the other thing also as well, if I'm working with the BA, what I would, really get help from BAs would be their excellent skills in documentation. And it's just not about someone, hey, documenting word and sending it to know. It's more around understanding the industry practices, making sure we use the right skills, for requirements gathering and elicitation, the different techniques and tools which are at our BA's disposal, as you would know. And those are the things, can really bring in and help product managers with. Because, as a product manager, what I realized my life has changed in a work is that I have so much bandwidth goes into managing stakeholders.
okay,
So
okay.
the actual time spent in actual doing that level of analysis is very, very little, or sometimes I have to do it after working hours. But I think so working with the BA can really help because at least I will have someone, a colleague, who understands the same level to say, look, we are here in this business to build a product that's fit for purpose, making sure
Mm,
that our end users get the best out of it, and we are understanding and resolving the business problems ultimately. Products does the
mm,
same thing. We have to resolve problems. But where product managers come into play is bringing the strategic and holistic context, in my opinion.
okay.
Because we will see, for example, okay, where does this fit into 2 or 3 years in time? What does the feature updates look like, for example, right? Could we understand the metrics, usage, adoption rates to see whether this feature is actually being used?
Hmm.
For example, so those kind of things is what product managers negotiate with the business, you see.
Okay.
Because in many organizations, and from your experience as well, when we work with stakeholders, they often work in a certain way where sometimes they would, come out of emotions, hey, I need this because I can't get this work done, for example. Fair enough, that's a business problem. But then what product managers do is we look at usage, adoption rates, different metrics to understand that how many people or how many users do actually use this feature. Is this viable
Right.
for us to prioritize this feature now versus later, for example? So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so this is why I see as me working tandem with the BA. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, and then so you kind of painted the picture. The product manager's doing these strategic thinking, measuring the value add, should I say, of the
Yeah.
product, and then working very closely with the stakeholders.
Yes.
And then on the flip side, the BA is looking into the detail
Yes.
around that. So can you just paint a picture then? What for a business analyst right now who is working with a product manager, what kind of things would they be doing just so that they're maybe a bit more clear on that?
Absolutely. So I can give an example. I mean, so when you work with, products which are off the shelf, so for example, you've got Microsoft products or Salesforce or other
Right.
technologies. And some what these products have is you require a knowledge on these products, an acumen of these applications. And we sometimes call BAs or they call it functional consultants. But the way
Right.
I see it is, right, that from a BA from that perspective can help the product managers build that level of knowledge of the systems or the applications. We don't need to go to the technical level. BAs can help
Mm.
provide that. But that will help myself as a product manager would be say that, okay, I've got a business side. I also have someone who can bridge my gap on the knowledge of the systems and application side. So that will help
Mm.
together making a decision on what that's shaping the strategy looks like. What does that roadmap
Hmm.
looks like? You
Hmm.
see, because I can work with solution architects, but business analysts have that skill set of putting aside both technical and non-technical put together,
Yep.
simply and give you the data, give you the analytics that you really want, give you the
Hmm.
analysis you really want, that you can make
Mm.
your informed decision on it. So the way I see is actually is that I would see a BA as a right-hand man to a product manager.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So on that point, then, when you are thinking about that relationship, it sounds like it's a very close relationship, working very well together. If you do,
yeah.
and if you're both good at what you do, then the product should succeed in a perfect world. Because as a product manager, you're looking at again the market fit, the
Yeah.
product itself, right? Are we delivering something that is fit for purpose in the market?
Mm.
And is it what people want based on these KPIs and metrics that we're measuring?
Yeah.
And on the flip side, you've got the BA who's then kind of looking into the detail around that and being
Absolutely.
like, no, not that feature, but this feature, or prioritizing the
Yes.
focus. And maybe even actually saying that's not technically feasible because of my
Yeah.
relationship with the technical guys. I know what they're saying, that sort of thing. So it's almost painting this beautiful picture with both sides, and I can see how that synergy works. Almost this yin yang picture in my head of like BA
Yeah.
and product manager. Yeah,
Absolutely, and it's literally like a couple, right? To
yeah, yeah.
say, yeah, we come together as one team, because what happens is, product managers, in this now day and age,
Mm.
their neck is on the line in terms of product strategy and delivery,
Okay,
and
okay,
and what I mean by that is simply is that we are directly responsible and accountable for prioritizing the features accordingly. What
okay.
works, what doesn't work. Now, in an organization we work in, we have a lot of pressure from different types of stakeholders, right? So, for example, if you might be working with sales and marketing, sales might want something else, marketing might want something else. They both want to prioritize with each other. Yes, that's the stakeholder management that requires. But what really helps it here is an additional information that could help me get that decision understanding on, okay, why does this feature get prioritized over this? And that
Mm.
probably comes from, and most likely comes from, business analysis, because they've done
Mm.
in-depth understanding and analysis on why something is needed. Because
Mm.
I
Mm.
see them as almost like a subject matter expert,
Yeah.
in certain extent. So for me, I think that would be really, really crucial. Whenever we're working with the team and prioritizing the backlog features, it could go really long way because I'm backed by someone who's done that level of analysis, and we're not
Yes.
just something because I just had a dream of. It's backed by information and data.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. Do you know what? I recently read, and I'm curious to know what you think about this. I recently read a post on LinkedIn. I can't remember who posted it, but somebody said that all product managers should become or should be from business analysts.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I 100% think so. I think when I was presented the opportunity of become a product manager, the first thing I said is, I've been a BA and I'll be a damn good product manager because, it's almost the way I see it is, right? Let's say you've got 1 to 10 scale. Being a BA, I've got, let's say, 1 to 8 skills. By being a product manager, all I'm adding is additional 2 or 3 skills,
Right.
but that 1 to 10 skills is going to help become a product manager rather than someone being from scratch. Now, I'm not saying that someone who's not come from business analysis background, cannot, go on and become successful product manager. Of course they can. It's just that we BAs have come from a background of training, rigorous training, rigorous understanding on, understanding their customer needs, eliciting them. How do we capture them? How do we document them? How do we analyze it? Understanding the problem statements. I think half of the organization fails to capture problem statements correctly. It's more like a wish list, but no, we need to
Yeah.
learn how to capture the real problem statements, for example. So those are the skills BAs bring, which unanimously it's so beneficial for a product strategy. So for me, 100%, I think one of the best product managers come from a business analyst if they choose to
Interesting.
to to work in that career.
Yeah. Interesting. Another thought that I did have when you were explaining the differences and also the synergy between the two is you mentioned earlier about the product managers. There's a lot of, I guess, accountability on the product manager, right? And kind of being like the decision is on you really, right?
Yes.
How did you make that switch? Because as business analysts, we're not decision makers. If you think about it, we influence, but there's almost a freedom as a BA to kind of say, right, here's the options, here's my recommendations, but you decide and you let me know what you're thinking. Whereas as a product manager, it sounds like, no, thanks for that, but it's up to me to make the decision. So, how did you initially find that switch for when things kind of ended on you as opposed to you passing it on to kind of the next person to make the
Yeah.
decision?
See, I'll be very honest with you. I have been, whenever I've been a BA, right, and always want to do the right thing, always want to think about end users, always want to make sure that the application we're building is fit for purpose. But subconsciously, I always used to get frustrated along the way because when I felt like, the people, above us, may not make the right decisions,
Yeah.
in terms of technology change. And often what happens is the end users, are frustrated. We are frustrated because we've done so much hard work. It's almost like saying we've got auditors who have,
Yeah.
recommended certain steps, but we choose to ignore them, right? And we do something else. So that's how I felt. I'm like an auditor who got frustrated and, because they decided to do something else. So
Mm,
so that was also one of the reasons as to why, what, product manager would give me that what should I say, the autonomy, I would say, to shape that. Now, saying that, it still doesn't mean that, I can get things done my way, or, product managers have the full, way of doing things. No, what it does mean is that we have certain things that we can, almost, get a sort of, have a little bit of more confidence into a say, so, especially when we're
mm,
working with engineering teams,
hmm.
so we can almost say that, look, we can't do it this way. Well, no, we can. Let's just work it this way. I've got this
Yeah.
metrics, this and that. So that's what I, decided why I want to become a PM is to
Interesting.
have that autonomy to influence. I think that's the right way to say it, rather than
Yeah.
autonomy to do things, or autonomy
Yeah.
to influence, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I should say this, but what I also felt is that being a product manager, I had much more respect, overall
Oh,
from the
really?
cross-functional teams than as a BA. I don't know why. No, I don't know. I'm not sure why, but I certainly felt that for sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why it is. And maybe it could be that customers or stakeholders think BAs as just a part of the team and just doing the small bits and bobs. Whereas product manager look at
Mm,
end to end, from initiation, business case to launch. I don't know, but
right.
I felt that that was the case, and it was really weird because I was like, okay, before as a
Ah,
BA, whenever I used to say, certain, advisory suggestions, it would never used to be respected, but now people are listening.
wow. Wow.
So
Do you
that
know
is a
what? That
shift
is
to focus.
mind blowing. That is
Yeah.
mind blowing to me. That is unbelievable. Do you reckon it's because I think you probably touched on it just now, but do you reckon that's because people don't understand the BA role and they maybe understand the PM role a bit more?
I think so, 100%. I think that I've worked in so many organizations as a BA, different industries, and I've worked with some organizations who are matured in terms of business analysis as a practice, but there are some who do not really understand what BA does. In fact, what they think what BAs are is almost like, hey, all you do is just write document requirements.
I see. I see.
We are more than that, very well, right?
Yeah.
So it is the thing that I don't think they understand fully what BA does.
Mm,
But then my other challenge is, and it's really interesting as well, the whilst industry don't know, or some organizations don't know what BA does, but there is also a synergy between a product owner role and product manager's role, you say. So you've got all these roles, right, which agile, with introduction of agile, has created. So
yes.
so in organizations, you always have that level of challenge that you helping your stakeholders along the way, trying to make them understand, like, this is what BA does, this is what product managers do, and this
Mm,
is what product owners do, for example.
mm, my goodness. Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. But I would have never guessed that respect thing. It's really interesting to me. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
on that point then of your personal experience,
Hmm.
you kind of touched on this on LinkedIn when we're kind of going back and forth in the DMs, and you're mentioning that you face some challenges as a woman in this field. Could you touch on some of them and what those were, if you're happy to share, and how you handled yourself in those situations?
Yeah, absolutely. So, unless this has changed, I still think that when I stepped into the, into this industrial technology, I felt that it's very heavily male dominated industry. Not saying that I've had any challenges from them, but I
Mm,
felt like less and less women are now doing coding or analytical workload. It's all more male dominated. So whenever I used to see around in the offices for different organizations, it used to be like two or three women and the rest of men. So
mm,
so the challenge, I wouldn't call myself as challenge as such, because I've been very blessed that I got to work with some amazing people along the way who really appreciated the quality of the work, I used to deliver, and always encouraged me to do above and beyond, basically, so that was really good. But I still feel that sometimes, that whenever we're working on, promotional promotions, we often lag behind. There might be a pay disparity as well, but I don't have the statistics to finally back my claim. But we always read in the news about the pay disparity. So my feeling is that I want that notion to be changed within in IT as a whole. I think the
yeah.
women are so much smarter, if not, if not more than men. Then we can actually do coding. We can actually bring in some of the best skills. We've got analytical skills, logical skills. We have perseverance. For example. So I think that I really want that to be changed. I really want to make sure that we've got more women in IT. I don't want women to think that, oh my god, coding is so difficult. Working with
Mm,
big boys club is so difficult. This and that.
yeah. Yeah.
So I want women to feel that, what, I'm really good at analytics. I'm really good at thinking, out of the box. Yeah, why can't I choose this as my career?
Mm,
And I also think that this is because we don't actually promote these roles actively.
mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
marketing, sales, these are all promoted, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel that our roles, as a BA or a product manager, we don't actively promote them.
Mm,
So that could be one of the reasons why that when we see, today's generation of university, they don't naturally
yes.
think that, oh, should I become a BA or should I become this? And this is interesting because when I went to uni, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I did know that I'm going to be IT because as a standard Indian thing, that we either become accounting or we either go to, technology. But after I
Mm.
graduated, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to an internship in Bangalore for 9 months, and we
Oh,
were,
nice.
yeah, and we were learning how to code. And I realized something. I said, "Oh, I'm not made for this because I don't know. I don't know how to code, and I don't think that I can learn." So then I realized, hold on, I'm very good at something, which is analytical problem solving. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at specifications. I'm really good at analysis. I'm really good at asking
Mm.
questions, being curious
Mm.
mind. And then that's when I sort of saw my colleagues or mentors, or BAs. And from there, I made a decision to say, you know what, I want to make my career in business analysis from their point. But given if I didn't have anyone to work with, I wouldn't know what business analysis does in
Of
IT.
course.
You see, so the curriculum might have changed now where people are knowing that, hey, from this course, these are the roles or route you can take. But back in the day when I used to be uni, I don't think I had that and that kind of, advice or suggestion. So I had to pretty much make my own way. But I would definitely, those are the, I would say the challenges as when I was back in the day when I was trying to step into the stone of a BA. But
Mm.
now when I see my colleagues or when someone wants to say, hey, I want to become a BA here, what do you suggest? So I create like a career a training path for them to say, look, this is what you can do. This is the level of understanding you may need to have. And slowly when you get some experience, then you will start bringing in your knowledge. Because for me, experience and knowledge comes from the job rather than any
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you know? I think the funny thing is, you say, talking about like your experience from like when you started, and I really appreciate that. But recently, I was speaking to somebody who pointed me to a woman in tech paper of
Mm,
sorts. I can't remember I can't remember the source of it. I'll see if I can find it and put the link to it in the description. But if effectively, it actually showed that, and this was obviously American based because most of them are American based in particular. But it actually showed that like something like 60% of women in tech specifically don't really have a clear like career pathway
yes.
route, and because of that, they're then often overlooked for promotions or
Yeah.
often overlooked for job offerings and all the rest of it. And then obviously, as we all know, there's been quite a lot of layoffs happening like
Yeah.
recently in tech as well. And that same company that did this study, they said that they looked at the recent layoffs, and they found that a majority of them were women, which is very interesting. Obviously, it's not. I don't know if gender is the only factor, but it just kind of speaks to
Yes.
the stats. The stats still show that women in tech, number one, there is a lack of, but even for those who are already in tech, there is still some hurdles to climb.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, women, we go through certain life changing events, right?
That's true.
We decide to have children, for example, we decide to get married, whatever that might be. We decide to take a sabbatical to look after a kid, but then we would like to, have open to options to return to work. So I would say though, like some organizations have become quite mature in that respect, but
Yeah.
certain organizations, right? And I can't name it, but I know certain organizations where they actually offer opportunities for egg freezing, for example, because what they're saying is that I'll pay for it because I don't want you to be off work. Whenever you
Right. I see.
decide or when you leave, that's when you get to. So for me, that is fine a benefit, but at the same time,
Mm.
how should I see this?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I agree with you. It's really sad that in this day and age, we should offer full flexibility to our employees. And I think I was reading an interview by someone. We've got Indian Shark Tank, and I was reading
Okay.
an interview by one of the judges, one of the investors, and what she said was apt that if you actually make your employees, motivate them, they will drive success for you. if you invest in their training opportunities, career opportunities, give them all the tools they need to enable them to deliver the best value to your organization, then that's your best people. Why would someone
Yeah.
want to leave your company if you actually
Yeah.
deliver this, right? And
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
also includes things like, you know what, you had a life-changing activity. We completely understand, right? What do you want to do? Have that level of collaboration and conversations with your employees to say, hey, what do you want to do? We'll be there to support you. Now, if organizations do that, I don't think that many people, they would have higher retention rates, in my opinion, than someone who's actually not doing that.
Of
So
course.
all of that comes into factors, I think, when we're thinking about how industry really has changed over the period of time, and what is still yet to improve, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness, that's such a very, very good point. I love that. So, thank you for sharing your experience on that one. I really appreciate it, and I think hopefully listeners who are listening to this, if you're a woman, maybe you relate, and if you're a man, maybe you can kind of open your mind and open your eyes to what happens to your colleagues. I think that's kind of the key message in here. So kind of pivoting back to kind of the product management side of things, and your switch. Can you maybe touch on, like, I'm thinking about somebody who's thinking about making the switch,
Mm.
actually. Someone who was where you were before you switched, and they're thinking about, what's my next challenge? I'm an experienced BA, but, I don't know what else is out there. First of all, could you maybe touch on why they should consider becoming a product manager? And also, what tangible tips would you give them to do to make that switch? Because I'd imagine it's not as simple as start applying for a product management job.
Yeah, absolutely. So why, if you would want to switch to product managers, I'll be honest with you, rewards. That's the first thing. I don't know why, but product managers get paid a lot of money than compared to
Right.
business analysts, and I really don't know why. And
It could be because a lot's on your head, right? I think the accountability part,
activity, yeah.
it makes sense, right? And the fact that everything is on you to decide to make it work, and if it
Yeah,
doesn't work, it's also on you if it doesn't work. So
Absolutely, absolutely. But also from the fact that since agile has come into play slowly,
mm,
change management, working in agility, and in agile, and if in Scrum, you will see the roles. Business analysts are not there. The product owners are
yeah,
there, but product managers are not there. You see, so it's all man-made, slowly, transition, I would say, where V used to have BAs, then a BA are not there in Scrum. Then you've got POs, and POs are
uh-huh,
now, POs are there, but now you've got product managers, which is completely, another role.
yeah,
But why would you switch to product managers? I think more likely is that if someone's really interested and has a passion for delivering a product end to end, right, from inception to launch, and be part of their journey of how that does. And also, if you think that, no, you know what, you will be very good at strategy, making strategy based decisions, making sure that you can work with different teams together, come together to deliver the product, then yes, you should consider product manager, for sure, because that's why I consider it as well. Rewards, yes,
mm,
of course, but in terms of what I can get to do or what I can bring to the table is enormous.
mm,
So that would be the reason why I would why I would advise why people might want to change to the product management route in BAs, and also with business analysts in some organization. I'm just saying, in some organizations do have maturity. The If you think about the career path of a BA,
yeah,
sometimes ends right at the senior BA. They're not
yeah,
able to go upward,
yeah,
and that just leaves. This is where the rewards come in. That's where your salary pay, you're docked basically at that point of time,
mm-hmm,
even though you've got years and years of experience. So I think for me, it would be then, well, you need to think from two ways. What do you want to do as a career? Do you want to be, I've known a few colleagues who've wanted to become business architect from a senior BA, they want to be going to product management role, or they want to go to project manager route because they think that,
mm,
oh, they're really good at managing people. They're really good at
mm,
resource management, budget management, things like that. So it all
mm,
depends on what the person wants to do. But ideally, what I would say is that if you ever want to make a career switch, It's always about, finding the training that can give you that gap that you need to fill in. So as a product manager, I first took training,
Okay.
at, CSPO, certified Scrum Alliance product owner training. I
Okay.
did that, for example. And then there's so many other product management courses that people can do. So Mind the Product offers really great product courses, product school. I would say I literally work with product management team. I like to get myself mentor and shadow them at the beginning to say, hey, what is it that they do? How do they think?
Mm,
What are the tools and techniques they're using? So these kind of
mm,
things I pick it up when you're trying to change a career move. So the
mm,
BA, you unlearn
mm-hmm.
that and you learn something new. It's but
Right.
not when I say unlearn it, it doesn't mean that, hey, that's it, I'm never going to do it. No, what you're saying is for a brief period of time, keep that mindset aside and pick up a
Okay.
new mindset, just so that you can learn with impartiality, basically. So that's the way, or that's basically an advice I would give for anyone switching their careers, really, especially product management and BA. There's not much big of a transition, to be completely honest with you, because like
Okay.
I said, if you look at 10 skills, you got 8
Yeah.
skills already with the BA. You only just need to fill in the gap between the two. but
Mm,
but it's difficult, if you're moving an organization and then looking for a product manager's role from a BA, because what they would say is that, hey, what experience do you have, for example? So my
yeah.
suggestion is always that if there is a opportunity provided to you by the existing organization to move into from a BA to a product role, then I would pick that up, because then at least you know that, okay, you'll be working on a project, with the current organization, because they already know you, they already know the skills you have, and then you kept the experience on the way. You work with various amazing skilled people, you learn from it, and then you can decide whether you want to, stay, or you want to, pursue something else, or pursue a new challenge, for example. So
Yeah.
that would be my advice for anyone changing the career from business analyst to product manager.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. No, really, really, really love that. Great points. And you certainly have sold it even to me. I'm gonna consider it. So I love that. Um, So here, I've really enjoyed our conversation. Our time has
Thank
flown by
you.
already, and I've loved it. Just before we kind of bring it to a close, I've got two more questions.
Sure.
The first question is for people who would love to reach out to you. Maybe pick your brain and ask you questions of how you did it, what transitions you made, or to pick your brain about maybe being a woman in tech or whatever that means, or whatever else even that they want to speak to you about. Where is the best place for them to do that?
LinkedIn.
Awesome. Yeah.
Feel free to, reach out to me for any questions you may have, anything, apart from asking for a job, because trust me, I don't have any say in offering jobs to my organization. I promise, but I can offer. I'm a very approachable person, and anyone whoever's got questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome, love that. I love that. The final question that I have is, kind of your switch. You've been doing the role now for about 3 years, I believe. If you could aside from the maybe the rewards, because yeah, that's great, that's good. If you could maybe just pinpoint one thing that you love about being a product manager that you didn't get as a business analyst, or something that kind of surprised you when you stepped into the role that fulfills you or excites you that you didn't get as a business analyst, what would you say that one thing is?
Launch to the user, launch to the market, because as a BA, I was never, in my experience anyway, I was never involved in that part, right? I was
Okay.
involved in transition to, service desk, or,
Yep.
hypercare. I would do that end to end, look after the process, but launching to the market, and also product analytics, trying to gauge that analytics, going to say, hey, why is this adoption rate on this low? Or why are we doing this? Or
Mm,
this feature is really, really gaining traction. Maybe we need to do a bit more research on this. These are the things which are, as a BA, we're not able to do it. We
yeah.
get to work with user researchers, who are excellent in what they do. They go and try to research about end users, emotional strengths, challenges, problem statements. They go and do that in-depth analysis, and they bring that data over to you, and then you can then go and think about like, oh, okay, where does those features fit? Prioritization of features. And that leads to my last point. What I love about product manager is, having that autonomy to prioritize the backlog accordingly, because you know that you got the data in front of you and you can act on it. Whereas as a BA, sometimes I feel that, our hands are tied a little bit, because, most often the times, we do our stuff, we analyze, we document, we produce something, but then that just never goes into, the decision making. So for me now, it's come to the point to say, you know what, I know exactly what BAs do. I know exactly what these different, experts do, UX, UI, researchers, BAs, technical experts. Let's just take that data into account, work with the business stakeholders, and then see what does a backlog prioritization looks like.
Wow, that's I have to say that's a really good point. A very, very good point. The amount of times I've done something, closed it off, so to speak, as a project, handed it off, but never see it come to life. And I'm just like, I don't even know if they're adopting it. I don't know if they're doing it. I don't know if they like it. I don't know if they hate it. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
We delivered, and then we've moved on to the next project.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been involved with writing business cases, and then working with the Scrum teams, sprint teams, or dev teams. That's it. And then I've been moved away to another project, but never get to see that in light.
Yeah.
Or I've been involved where I was asked to document business cases. I never really saw whether it's actually kicked off or not. So whereas product managers, most likely, once a business, case is signed off or approved or whatever stage it is, we pick that up and then we see it through the end. I've been in organizations where I've seen, projects and applications running through 2 or 3 years or 4 years, and the product manager is still there, right from the beginning, and they've really consumed the product, absorbed the product, so much so well that, if you ask them in a sleep, they'll probably tell you about the product. This is what product managers do, because they know so many different angles to it. So so that there is a lot of pressure, of it. But I think if you really enjoy it, it's great. I enjoy stuff, what I do. And I often tell my bosses and their bosses, I said, look, I'm a passionate person. I always do things the right way. And I like to follow the process. But at the same time, I like to challenge things where I like to challenge things. So so this is the combination of cohort, of Heer, Shah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Heer, Shah, it has been such an exciting conversation, such a pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate you sharing with us your expertise, your knowledge, and inspiring people who work with product managers to work with them better.
Yeah.
And those who are thinking about becoming product managers to consider it and make the switch. So again, thank you for sharing with us here today.
No problem. My pleasure. And it was lovely to meet you, Dando.